Hey, welcome back, guys. It's homecoming at Stansfield, and we got the first of what I believe will be 3 classic finishes to a stellar first season. For newcomers to the channel, we'll be reviewing the episode in full by counting down the top 10 WTF moments. So let's jump right into this thing, because there is a lot to cover. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. Lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, parental guidance suggested. Tariq enters class just as it's about to begin. He notices plenty of new faces in the mix. Due to the homecoming festivities, parents are accompanying their kids for the weekend, gaining a deeper look into what they're paying for in the realm of their child's education. The parents are animated and identical to their children's mannerisms and sensibilities. Such forebears are highlighted by Lauren's mom, Ashley's dad, and Bruchandria's mom, who undisputedly steals the parental show with her hilarious antics. The presence of the parents places Tariq in a semi-depressed state, given his circumstances, something I'll address in detail later in the video. WTF moment number 9, Guess Who's Bizak Part 2, Serve and Collect. 2-Bit pays a visit to Spanky's mom, played by the hilarious Lunel, and offers tribute for her loss in an attempt to smooth things over and show solidarity post his former partner's death. The freshly released Khan pays another visit as well, this one reserved for Tariq. He hems up our series lead and demands payment for his prior agreement with the Ghost Man at gunpoint. If you recall, Ghost appealed to 2-Bit to kill Dre in prison in exchange for financial compensation towards the latter half of Season 6. However, he wouldn't live to fulfill his end of the bargain due to his murder by bullet to the heart. Well, many of you were surely happy to see the puller of that trigger under the threat of death if he didn't meet 2's demands. He offers Tariq 24 hours to make good on his father's debt, or else. Tariq's later appeal to Warren for the money via his inheritance made a ton more sense given this reveal. It was a prime example of the sins of the father coming back to haunt the son. That haunting was compounded by Tariq's own capital sin against his father, which ultimately returned to bite him in the ass. As much as we've all rooted for Tariq in his first solo outing, his karma was enjoyable to witness, and undoubtedly brought an Effie caliber smile to every power supporter with a long memory and an unforgiving heart. WTF moment number 8, Effie returns. Speaking of Effie, Lauren confronts Tariq during a private moment in his dorm room regarding his behavior from 107. In the midst of their reconciliation, the 2 potential lovers are interrupted. Not by that fuck nigga Malcolm this time, however, but surprisingly by Reek's old flame, Effie, who we last saw way back in episode 1, and who you all wouldn't let me forget about in my recent video on Lauren and Diana. She springs up on Tariq in hopes of hustling with her former lover, maximizing on the homecoming festivities and sea of students looking to have a good time. Her and Lauren share the expected shady looks and exchanges, leading to yet another fallout between her and Reek. It's not looking good in the cheek-clapping department where she's concerned for our series lead. Tariq falsely proclaims to Effie that he's out of the game and subsequently sends her on her merry way. He later returns to Effie in order to gain her assistance in moving drugs to pay 2-Bit off. WTF moment number 7, I Stalker. Jabari Kelly meets with his literary agent again and nervously awaits his judgment regarding his new book. Much to his surprise and relief, the agent loves it. However, he requires the ending in order to fully sell it to the higher-ups. Jabari, understanding the magnitude of this book being successful, embarks on a journey of stalking his understudy for information. He follows him on campus, still simpishly suspecting Reek of having a liaison with the lovely Caridad Milgram. Then, he trails him to Brooklyn, where Drew Tejada is waiting with product for his understudy. Jabari eavesdrops on their conversation and even writes details of names and other questions. Jabari furthers his intrusive endeavors by researching the St. Patrick family and every connection therein in order to finalize his next potential bestseller. This is a dangerous course of action for the beleaguered professor. If he continues to dig, he's going to come upon something that's worth dying for and will ultimately cost him his life. Tread lightly, Mr. Kelly. WTF moment number 6, Z equals MC scared. Carrie runs into Zeke on campus and questions his mental state heading into his first big game back on the court. He eases her concerns, stating that he's taken her advice into consideration and that it's just another game. In the middle of their friendly chat, an ever-cautious Monet interrupts, offering a piercing gaze to match. Monet inquires if Carrie was responsible for his academic probationary period, and Zeke denies it while simultaneously introducing them, something he wanted to do last episode, much to her chagrin. He nearly slips up and uses Carrie's casual name as opposed to her professional one. Carrie extends an olive branch, showering Zeke with praise. However, sensing the iciness of the moment, she uncomfortably excuses herself, gaining more suspicion from Zeke's ruthless auntie. This encounter was overwhelmingly awkward and signals that the two's protracted love affair will only end in tragedy. WTF moment number 5, orders to kill. Kane enlists Guap and the GTG to murder Tariq in hopes of regaining his fleeting position within the Tejada organization and his mother's heart. He sets it up where the hitter would blend in just as any other student attending the big basketball game, the same one his cousin Zeke would be playing in. At the game, the Tejadas attend in full, showing support for their budding superstar family member. Tariq joins and is mean-mugged by Kane extensively. He briefly steps away as he's awaiting 2-Bit in order to settle Ghost's debt. In the lobby, he notices he's being followed by the out-of-place student and promptly flees to the pool in hopes of defending himself away from the crowd. However, the hitter initially gets the best of Reek and goes in for the kill with a shank, offering us the much-analyzed struggle from prior trailers. Right on the verge of defeat, 2-Bit enters and eliminates the assassin via drowning. Tariq grabs the hitter's phone and views a message inquiring about the finished job. The message is presumably from Guap, and 2-Bit sends a message back with a picture of the dead hitter, stating, "Yup." Tariq then pays 2-Bit, but is further extorted by Tommy's old running mate as compensation for saving Tariq's life. WTF moment number 4, close encounters of the Guap kind. Zeke, Ev, and other members of the Stansfield team hit a club to celebrate their big victory against Yale. While out partying and having a good time, Drew contacts Zeke after failing to reach Everett. Upon arrival, Drew and Ev have a brief confrontation due to the limited nature of their relationship. Afterwards, the crew head home, but are approached by Guap and the GTG. The head goofy in charge attacks Zeke and threatens to destroy his career by shooting him in the kneecap. This attack was revenge for the aforementioned fallen soldier, something he believed Kane set up in the failed Tariq hit. Drew intervenes just as Guap is about to pull the trigger and beats the living shit out of his rival. It's as if Drew was returning payback punches for fronting him off way back in 103, prior to Kane showing up on his behalf. Drew ups the banger and is just about to hit the button for the long, troublesome Guap, but Zeke exclaims for him to cease. The scuffle revealed Drew's true gangster chops to Everett, something he was previously unaware of. The latter runs off in confusion and anger, with Zeke following close behind. WTF moment number 3, 50%, 50%. Kane pulls up on the GTG and easily disposes of Guap's underlings as revenge for the crew's targeting of Zeke. Guap lets the chopper sing in an attempt to evade death, but empties the clip to no avail. Kane then approaches Guap and with murderous intent. However, in his enemy's darkest moment, Kane decides to opt for personal gain as opposed to personal gratification. He demands half of everything GTG brings in, including licks and drugs. Guap capitulates under the threat of death, and Kane gives him one last parting gift for violating his cousin. WTF moment number 2, banished. Kane returns home following the GTG hit. Upon approaching the door, he's met by his sister and former saving grace, Diana. She questions her brother's motives in calling the hit on Tariq and conveys Monet's final message: he's not welcome in this family anymore. In a heart-wrenching scene, Diana gives Kane a wad of cash and implores her brother to get out of the city and take care of himself, all while shedding a single tear. This act cements Kane's broken heart and the Tejada's broken trust in him. After chances at redemption following his initial split in 106, Kane's actions grew more selfish and ultimately endangered his family in ways he couldn't begin to comprehend. That fact lends itself to Kane's current mind state and subsequent ambitions. His selfishness led him to this point, and even up to his arrival home, he was still exercising that selfish nature by keeping Guap alive for personal advancement after his jeopardizing of Zeke. Kane looks up one last time at the place he once called home and the woman whose side he stood tall at, as cold as a Corleone ever could be, Monet looked down upon her son and closed the blinds. The ramifications for this act and Kane's future just got elevated at a fever pitch. It's going to be interesting now to see if he makes it out of this season alive. In WTF Moment number 1, Rules of Engagement. Tariq meets up with Monet in broad daylight, understandably distrustful of her following the Kane-inspired attempt on his life. He came ready to sever all ties with her and the Tejadas. However, Monet affirms to him that no other Tejada was involved in the botched hit, and that Kane was no longer a member of the family as a result. She then informed him of Tasha's call to Lorenzo, and that such a contact could never take place again. She leaves him with her terms for handling Kane should he attempt to harm Tariq once again. Monet declares that if Kane should come after Tariq, then he is well within his rights to do whatever he has to do to defend himself without fear of retribution from the Tejadas. However, if Tariq hunts down Kane in an offensive maneuver, then she'll dispose of him personally. Out of options and needing cash to make right with 2-Bit, Tariq agrees to Monet's terms, and the two part ways on a friendly basis. A few lingering thoughts before we end today's video. Episode 8 is based on Ralph Ellison's timeless work, Invisible Man, and lines up chronologically with Tariq's book list. It's about a man struggling with his own identity and having that struggle exacerbated by the fact that he's a black man navigating through a racist society. Each community the narrator travels through forces him to activate a different aspect of his personality based on false projections of self, projections provided by the limited role allocated to him by the various environments. Tariq, given this context, is the invisible man. He has no place at his own school, given the parental theme of the weekend, and even his surrogate crime family, with whom he seemingly found a place, tries to execute him, ultimately leaving our series lead with nowhere to go and even less souls to trust. He explains as much to Jabari Kelly, who attempts to capitalize on his understudy's glaring loneliness and feelings of odd man outhood for personal gain. Of all the parents, Bruchandria's were the most enjoyable. Granted, every parent was a carbon copy of their child from a mannerism perspective, but Bruchandria's had me in tears. The name tags were pretty funny as well, revealing where light-skinned Keisha got her power surname. It was major seeing 2-Bit and Tariq's interactions this episode. I can see the two working together towards the end of this season. Tariq is going to need some help to ward off the dangers surrounding him, and 2-Bit will be a great mentor in his next step towards Kingpin status. Who knows, we might even be witnessing the beginning of a Breeze Ghost-type relationship in future seasons. Let's just hope the Christmas canceller doesn't catch up to Tariq first. Zeke has begun emotionally depending on Carrie. I don't see their union ending well, given this fact. After all, she's not available on such a level, and is technically sick due to her sexual addiction. She does have an affinity for young black men in need, however, and Zeke needs that woman now more than ever. Lauren has a lot of nerve being big mad at Tariq over Effie. Her fuck nigga Malcolm pops up on them at will, and Tariq always handles the situation like a player. But the one time his rando makes an appearance, you get upset? The audacity. Tariq and Brayden's brotherhood has finally reached its first real test, and we'll see if the strain from Tariq's perpetual deceptions are too much a burden for his comrade to bear. And finally, Ghost once told Tariq that he was trying to save him from a life full of misery. Well, the blues have officially begun playing for him following the attempt on his life, extortion of his finances, and trouble with his women, save for Diana. It's going to be interesting to see where our new series lead ends up by the conclusion of the finale, and whether he'll graduate in his ghosthood by the culmination of it all. Thank you for watching today's video. What did you think of this episode? Be sure to leave me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, if you liked today's video, go ahead and drop a $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power Ghost fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.